Joining me now is Archbishop Salvatore Corileone, the Archdiocese of San Francisco. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us today. What was your immediate reaction to the selection of this new pope, the first American pope in history?
Well, probably like just about everyone else, it was surprise. It was, first of all, surprise when I heard there was white smoke. I honestly thought this was going to take at least another day, maybe even into next week, because the cardinals needed more time to I thought, to kind of get to know each other. And well, an American is really big news. I never thought we would see an American pope, but he's also Latin American. He's spent most of his priesthood in South America, so he knows both worlds and can bridge both worlds.
Have you met the new pope?
I've never met him, so I don't know him personally. Of course, I know him by name and somewhat by reputation, but I can't say that I know him personally.
What do you think of his selection? What does that say about the future path of the church and whether this marks an abrupt change from Pope Francis, do you think?
I sensed a definite vision of continuity and stability. There, that does there is a need for sort of greater, more stability and sort of predictability. But I see his trying to continue with the vision of Francis with the kind of church we need that listens more and can bring the gospel out to the peripheries. So I see a sense of continuity with tradition and leaning into some of the vision of Pope Francis and bringing more unity and stability. I sensed his message, his message was, I think, very appropriate and very much from the heart, a message of peace. His very first words were, "Peace be with you." And he cited this as the greeting of Christ, his first words when he appeared to his disciples after his resurrection. He wished that peace to go into the hearts of the people and their families and into the whole world. He kept repeating this theme of peace. And he spoke about Jesus Christ is the way to that peace. He builds the bridge to God the Father. So it's through him that we can have that peace. So I think it's going to be very Christocentric, focused on the person of Jesus Christ, while at the same time trying to build up unity, not just within our own church, but in the whole world. He also spoke a lot about dialogue, right, and trying to bring people together and build bridges among people all in the world. One more thing I would like to say, though, so I don't know him, but I think I got a deep insight into his person. This is something very subtle that probably not very many people notice, but based on my own personal experience, I did. If you noticed, at one point in the address, he shifted into Spanish in order to greet the people from his diocese, Chiclayo, in Peru. If you notice, at that point, a big smile comes across his face. That tell me that the man has a very pastoral heart. He is first and foremost, to the core of his being, a pastor of souls. He's not a careerist. He's not a politician. He's not even a governor, but he's first and foremost a pastor of souls. So this, in my mind, bodes well for us.
You mentioned unity, though. I want to lean into that for a moment because there's been talk about how the church manages divisions between progressives and conservatives around the world. Will this selection of this pope help heal that rift, do you think?
Yes, I hate those labels. People use them a lot. A lot of people within our own church, they don't really apply in a political sense. We can have different pastoral strategies and pastoral priorities that might reflect one way of looking at issues than the other. But we have the truth of Jesus Christ that comes to us from the Gospels through the teaching tradition of the church. And we need to know how to apply those in effective ways in the world in which we are living. I do see him. He spoke about building bridges. He and his person is a bridge builder, right? He's from Chicago. He's a North American, spent most of his priesthood in Peru, so he knows the South as well. He's himself is a bridge between North and South. So I think, given the kind of person that he is, and if his opening message is any indication, I think he will be a good force for unity in the church. The more we can tap into, he focused on the person of Christ. If we focus on the person of Christ and the saving truth that he gives us and the beauty and goodness he calls us to, we can have unity, even with differences of opinions and different ideas of strategies and so forth. We can have unity in the church and in the entire world.
With the selection of this new pope, though, will that change how you lead the diocese, the archdiocese?
Every pope sets a tone, and we take a lead from the pope, so I'll see the kind of tone that he sets. I don't see a wide kind of radical difference from what has come before, is not only his immediate predecessor Francis, but Benedict and John Paul and so forth. I also am, I think another signal is the name that he chose, Leo XIV. Leo XIII was the Pope in the 1890s into the very early 1890s into early 1900s. He died in 1903. He's been considered the first Pope to start bringing the church into the modern age. So the age of Christendom effectively ended before him, his predecessor Pius IX. And the growth of the toppling of monarchies, the growth of liberal democracies, it was a new world. The world was moving into the modern era. Pope Leo understood that, and he had a vision for how to set the church on a course that how we could live as church and evangelize in this changed modern world. He's the one who famously began the whole body of Catholic social teachings, taking the teachings of Christ in the Gospels and applying them to the economic issues of our time, and that has developed over well over 100 years now. So I think that he's, by picking that name and the message he gave, he knows how to tap into the tradition and live as faithful Catholics for the good of everyone, not just our own fellow Catholics, but for the whole world.
Yeah, Pope Leo XIII was a social justice reformer. I'm curious if you think that the selection of this particular name indicates the direction that he sees the church going when it comes to handling social issues.
I think so. So if we think about what was happening in the world at that time, the late 19th century, we had the Industrial Revolution that had horrendous sufferings of people, working people in the factories and so forth. Then on the other hand, we had Marxism that was purporting to be a classless society, but was also very damaging, did a lot of harm. They both, in their own way, were very materialistic. Of course, Marxism is an explicitly materialistic philosophy and atheistic. It sees only the material. The Industrial Revolution was effectively, it was using people as sort of a means to an end. It wasn't really acknowledging the full truth of the human person. So Leo saw this happening, and he understood that we need a body of teaching that can address this changed world and what's going on, but with an authentic vision of the human person, understanding that we are not just a physical, material being, we are also a spiritual being, primarily a spiritual being, and also a social being. So if we recognize the full truth of the human person, recognize everyone's dignity, that's why he was promoting the organizing, laborers organizing into unions. But it's interacting in society that we work out our vocation to find happiness with God, and we use our gifts, our talents that God gives us for building up the common good. So I see him as recognizing what's going on in the world, but we need an authentic vision of the human person in order to chart a steady course that will be for the good.
I'm curious how you think his role may play when it comes to the crackdown on illegal immigration. I mean, in his address, he mentioned the obligation that Catholics have to people who are disenfranchised. Do you think this signifies that the Archdiocese will play a bigger role with those illegal migrants who are here?
We are already trying to do what we can. We're having conference or meetings for helping immigrants to know their rights, know your rights symposia. And we're trying to give legal assistance as best we can. So we're certainly going to continue that. And I think it's quite clear this will be a priority of his. Again, having lived most of his priesthood in South America, and he would have a heart for that situation. So I think he'll be a strong voice in that area, which of course gives us support more locally for doing what we are called to do.
You know, the United States right now is a very fraught relationship with so much of the world. Do you think the selection of an American pope will counteract that?
It's a unique situation having an American pope, but my sense is that it will help. The Vatican has international status, right, as sovereignty, but it's very independent and neutral. It's not like other nations. So it can bring that voice and vision of objectivity and neutrality. And I think given his experiences of North and South, he'll be able to do that. And I think an American who's lived most of his priesthood, a North American lived most of his priesthood in South America, he can understand both worlds. And I think it will be a sort of a moderating influence. And I think, again, he kept repeating the theme of peace and building bridges. It seems to me that's his vision for his pontificate.
Archbishop Salvatore Corileone, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.